The Minnesota State Building Code has been the standard for safe, accessible, and energy-efficient building construction since 1972. Not many people remember the days before the State Building Code. Buildings of all types were going up everywhere. Permits, codes, and inspection practices varied from city to city. For contractors, bidding work and keeping track of the various building codes and rules was a nightmare. The confusion got settled in 1972 when the legislature approved a single uniform code, the Minnesota State Building Code. The state introduced the change by getting newscaster Dave Moore to help educate the public by explaining in a slideshow how the code was to replace all various city, township, and county building codes.
And now, Dave Moore.
Like other states, Minnesota has performance guidelines concerning the plans, materials, and methods used in the construction of buildings.
It's important to realize why the legislature passed this law when it did, because we continue to struggle with some of the same issues now that we did back in 1972.
The construction industry was taking off, and so it was time to standardize building regulation across the state. In fact, the preamble to the original law cited two specific concerns. First, there was a dangerous shortage of safe, affordable housing. Second, this shortage was fueled in part by a huge tangle of needless and costly local rules. To lawmakers, this situation threatened the health, safety, and security of the people of Minnesota. And so they came up with a solution, a single statewide minimum code that would protect people by establishing reasonable safeguards, modern methods, efficient materials, and smart technologies, which would in part serve to lower the cost of housing and other buildings.
And it was really about doing the right thing at the right time.
Translating the code into meaningful safeguards has taken time. Since its adoption in 1972, the code has been updated and amended many times to keep up with the model building codes, including new energy conservation and accessibility regulations that society demanded. In addition, the legislature established codes governing plumbing, electrical, and elevators. The Minnesota legislature has also contributed to the building code, often in response to a tragedy or a string of accidents that revealed a possible gap in the rules.
The downtown drama was distinct after daybreak, but towering above the ashes was a Minneapolis landmark. Though charred and soiled, the weather ball stood tall.
Some of the areas where safety provisions were added into law include bleacher safety, window fall protection, garage door opener safety, radon control, smoke detection devices. As the building industry advanced with new materials, techniques, and technology, the code has kept pace. These days, Minnesota's state code is developed from a single international model code, not several regional codes as in years past. Code changes are reviewed and recommended not by people behind closed doors, but as experts serving on the state's publicly accountable Construction Codes Advisory Council, as well as the boards of plumbing, electrical, and high-pressure piping. And while the state code was once managed by multiple separate agencies, administration and oversight is now handled entirely within the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industries Construction Codes and Licensing Division. There's been progress, too, in the enforcement of the State Building Code. Since 2008, the legislature established the State Building Code as the minimum construction standard throughout all of Minnesota, including all cities, all townships, and all counties. It applies everywhere. Even so, the code isn't enforced everywhere because some municipalities haven't formally adopted it. In cities and counties where the code has been formally adopted, enforcement is carried out by local building officials, specially trained and certified building safety professionals.
Making buildings safe, accessible, and energy efficient is really a team effort, and that's done with the architects, the engineers, interior designers, and others.
However, a unique and crucial role is played by Minnesota's many building officials, inspectors, plan reviewers, and permit technicians. A lot is asked of them. It's a hard job. They need to be responsive to their local government and political input. They have to say no or what you did is not correct. But they do it because they know what's at stake. They understand that the state building code is a set of building safety laws, and even more than that, an ethic or an endeavor that Minnesota building code officials have been doing with purpose for over the past 50 years. Make no mistake, although they don't wear badges or uniforms, these are public safety officials.
They save lives and keep people safe, and they're really indispensable to society and the communities where they live and work.
In recent years, building code enforcement has continued its technological journey into the way codes are developed, how permits are obtained, inspections performed, and plans are reviewed. Permits can now be applied for, paid for, and obtained online, thus speeding up the process and getting people to work sooner. Building inspectors now carry iPads, not clipboards and plans, making more efficient use of their time and providing instant inspection results to contractors. The way inspections are made has also changed. They're not just conducted by climbing ladders, but by sending drones to examine roofs and monitoring construction progress. Inspections are sometimes even conducted virtually, saving drive time and enabling inspectors to perform more inspections in a day.
Everything looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and prove this for you today.
Back in the 70s, the state building code was contained in a couple of books. Today, the regulations have been compiled in multiple specialized volumes. They are offered online and at no cost, one even in Spanish, and are updated every 6 years to include new materials and methods of construction, most of which didn't exist in the 70s. Building plans used to be shipped exclusively for review on giant rolls of paper. Now, plans are often submitted electronically and reviewed on monitors, which saves time, reduces costs, and increases communication. Most of the visible advancements we've seen in this industry have improved efficiency and helped code officials better serve their stakeholders. But while these advances in technology are valuable, they don't necessarily translate into greater building safety. That can be best accomplished by reasonable, understandable codes and well-trained code officials.
In fact, these are two of our division's highest priorities, minimizing code complexity and providing new ways of providing training for building officials. One example of innovation that we're really excited about is this first ever illustrated field guide to the Minnesota Residential Code. Our goal was to create a practical publication for construction professionals and others that could be easily understood, simplify code compliance, and reduce common code controversies for builders and building inspectors.
Another ongoing initiative is improved access to on-demand training through a learning management system that provides self-paced learning, webinars, and on-site training. This allows certified building officials to catch up on needed continuing education courses when and where it works best for them. It's been more than 50 years since the Minnesota State Building Code was adopted, and it really has determined the shape of Minnesota's modern landscape. The code guides the construction of nearly every new structure in our skyline, every new home in our neighborhoods, and every doorway we walk through, whether for work, worship, healthcare, shopping, deliberation, or recreation.
Looking back, one thing we don't often think about is how many lives have been saved over time. Lives that might otherwise have been lost to fire or structural collapse. And we don't often consider how many injuries have been prevented from falls or shattered glass or electric shock. We can't calculate the savings from roofs that didn't leak, pipes that didn't break, and contaminated water that wasn't consumed. Although we may never really realize the full extent of our work ensuring safe, accessible, and energy-efficient buildings, everyone should understand that this is important work that matters to us all.
There's more to do, of course, but this is a moment for remembering how far we've come in 50 years. Thanks to the Minnesota State Building Code and the professionals who enforce it, Minnesotans can feel safe and can thrive in the buildings where they live, work, shop, worship, and recreate. We're on our way to building safer, stronger communities for all Minnesotans in the years ahead.